Listen up, nerds. I gotta say it because Matthew doesn't feel well and we love Matthew. So, what's up, y'all? It is the Listen Up Nerds Geek Culture Podcast. I am joined by this very gorgeous panel of fellow nerds and geeks, and we're just here to have a good time tonight. I'm Crystal, and I'm just gonna go around the room like we're all five again and we have to introduce ourselves the first day of kindergarten. JV, go next.
Had to unmute myself. Yo, it's your boy JV, and we just hanging, talking stuff, vibing, singing Shania Twain. It's a great time, great Friday.
100%. 100%. Tara, who's on. I think this is Tara's first time on when we became like official. What's up, Tara?
Hello. I'm Tara. And yeah, we're hanging out. That's all I got. Your turn, Hannah.
Hi, I'm Pixel. I'm the resident introvert. I'm here to cause chaos and mayhem in a quiet way.
Yes. and our fifth, I can't math. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are five? Our fifth is Matthew, the amazing Matthew Dawson of Mortalverse Audio Dramas. And he's an amazing dude and we love him and he's not feeling good tonight. And he's been trying like so hard to get us together to do a pod. So I feel so bad that he doesn't feel good. So Matt has like a spreadsheet of ideas that we're all gonna do. So there will be more of us and him. So shout out to Matt. Go listen to Mortalverse. And we hope he feels better. Skill issue.
Yep.
Skill issue. So, all right. Tonight, y'all, we're just gonna have some fun. First up, we've got like a little bit of nerd news that we want to talk about. But mostly, I love watching trailers. I'll get to the theater early just so I can watch the trailers because I just love movie trailers. Does anybody else here just fucking love movie trailers?
Yes.
Watch them every day.
There we go. Tara, what about you? Do you like movie trailers?
I do. I think they're I really enjoy watching them. And then it's fun to see how the trailer compares to the actual film when it comes out, to see if the trailer was either truthful or if it lied to you. I like to see that.
Absolutely.
For me, it's like movie and video game trailers.
Yeah.
Because I still watch the Skyrim trailer after all these years because it still gives me chills.
Really? Old school Skyrim
Yeah.
trailer? Does it hold up still after all these years? I'm assuming, yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
Now you got me wanting to go watch the old Skyrim trailer.
Afterwards, I'll show like my favorite one.
Yes, yeah. I remember somebody like, I think a couple years ago, like reminded people about the Matrix movie trailer. And I think it's terrible, but the movie is so good. Like the Matrix trailer was just, I didn't think it was any good. I was like, this is not. If I had seen that, I don't think I would have gone to see the Matrix. I'd have been like, I'm gonna just skip that one.
I can't even remember if I saw the trailer or not, or maybe I only saw had like 30 seconds of it. But at that point, it's still nobody knew what the movie was.
Right.
So that was the thing that got people in. But a trailer that purely got me in without knowing anything about it was Cloverfield.
Oh yeah.
Like, which there's literally nothing in the trailer. Like, I don't even think you saw the actors' faces in the trailer. Like, it was just like, go see this movie. Back when midnight showings were actual midnight showings.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that worked perfectly. And that turned out to be such a fun time at the movies because
movie.
I don't know if you can do that anymore with internet culture where you have like, you might just accidentally run into a spoiler. But the type of trailer that like gets you hype but doesn't reveal too much.
Yes.
And you're like, what is this thing that I'm about to watch?
Right.
I love those trailers. I also love In a World. I love the old 90s trailers too.
And another like trailers that are just so god tier for me are just, and I don't know if anyone here's seen them, but like all of the Final Fantasy 14 trailers are amazing. They're fantastic. In fact, I actually got into the game because of their trailer for Heavensward, which is their first story expansion. Because the trailer, all it is one song that's surmising the plot.
Okay.
Huh. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, now I want to see it. I want to see it. Swotar.
Yeah, I could talk forever about those.
Amazing video game trailers. Star Wars: The Old Republic will put out some trailers that I think are arguably better than some of the content, the Star Wars content that we got. Like, I would just say it. Like, I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen some of the Star Wars: The Old Republic trailers, but like they are all just so fucking good. They're all just so
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Those are some great game trailers. I love I love GTA, and so I love those trailers, especially like usually the first one that comes out actually gives you some sort of clue about what's happening in the game, because those games just have killer soundtracks. So I'm not gonna lie, like I watched the GTA 6 trailer like, I don't know, 15 times. It has a Tom Petty song and it's just ripping, and I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? We have a Bonnie and Clyde situation. Those GTA trailers, the one with GTA 5, and it's a Stevie Wonder song, and I don't know why I can't think of it. And the song is just a groove, and you're watching the trailer and you're like, this is the vibe. Like, this feels like something. I love that Rockstar every 10 years when they show up to make a game, makes a great trailer for whatever it is, whether it's Red Dead Redemption or even the ping pong table, the ping pong game that they did, which was that was weird. Great game. Rockstar did it. That was a good trailer.
I didn't even know there was it. So now I got to watch Final Fantasy trailers and a trailer about ping pong. Like, I'm ready for this.
Oh, I got them.
Babe's like, I am ready. Tara, what about you? No, go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
It's for an actual movie trailer. One that I also still think about is The Hobbit: The Battle of Five Armies. That trailer was so fire. That was such a good trailer.
That was a good fucking trailer, though. But like, see, I'm easily drawn into that kind of stuff because I love groups of people battling a great enemy. So if you, I think that's why like Endgame fucked with me so much, and like I still like, I'm not even like a comic nerd, but like just that first opening where they're all coming out of the portals, like that's still like I am emotionally like tearing up. I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, I want to go do you know, you just like there's just something about that. So like, yeah, that I'm like, I'm not even like a big like, Lord of the Rings is great. We all appreciate it for what it is. Like, it's a masterpiece, blah, 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 blah. But I'm not a huge, like, Lord of the Rings, like, fan. Like, I'm not, like, I wouldn't call myself that. But you're right. That trailer had me, like, war. We got to go. We got to go to war, y'all. I don't know what you want me to tell you. We just got to go to war. What about you, Tara? You got any game or movie trailers that just got you?
Oh man. It's been so long since I've watched any kind of trailers.
Oh, snap.
But well, I'll say we can get into it when we start looking at trailers. But I've become kind of disillusioned a little bit about cinema and how they present films. Like, I like hearing about, when new movies or new shows are coming out. I like hearing about them, but sometimes it's too much information for me.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, I'm hearing about this interview. Oh, you're showing behind the scenes pictures. Oh, you're doing this. Oh, you have a trailer talking about the trailer that you're going to release tomorrow. Like, to me, that's too much. And it takes away from the magic or the sparkle of going to see a film. But I think I think maybe the X-Files, the first X-Files film, when it came out, I think that excited me quite a bit. And it might just be because I was excited to see Scully and Mulder on the screen again.
Yeah.
So I can't name any specific trailers offhand, but if any come to me while we're watching these, and I'll let you know.
100%. Matt is in the chat, hopefully drinking some ginger ale. His stomach feels better. Says that there was world peace the day the Force Awakens trailer came out. And you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think so because I know that I'm such a fucking Star Wars nerd when you got that first shot of why can't I say it? Millennium Falcon, right as the,
Millennium.
I know, right? It's so hard. Right as the music popped, made me cry. I'm not even gonna lie, bro, made me cry. I like teared up and everything. I was like, it was so good. That was so good. But yes, and Matt also says the trailers for trailers thing is ridiculous, I just won.
Yeah, the trailer. So Joker Fully Undo just came out today, right? There's already like 2 2 minute behind the scene trailers about the making of the movie. And I'm like, why are we doing that? That is becoming like, I agree with Tara. That is such a common thing now to like, you're giving me too much information about the movie before I see it.
Right.
Like way too much. The behind the scenes stuff should be for like, I guess we don't make DVDs anymore, but like that should be for some other streaming content somewhere, or something after it's been out for 3 weeks, or it's coming to the end of its theatrical run. I was like, you're giving me too much insight into your process.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's because you have to keep things top of mind. That's the only reason I can think that so many companies are doing that.
But you know
it's,
what?
it is weird. It's
Do
just
we
a
need them?
very strange trend.
Do we need to keep things top of mind? Because, like, even how you said, like Cloverfield, you saw that one little thing and seeded. And I'm pretty sure Cloverfield did well, So, and I know it was like, a different time or whatever, and we are inundated with so much fucking content now. But what I'm kind of seeing across the general internet now is like this feeling of a longing for the older days, almost like, back when where things were a little bit simpler. So I almost think that if you were going to just drop the teasiest of teasers and then that was it, now would be a good time. And I feel like there's ways you could augment that without, shoving, trailers upon behind the scenes upon like whatever, like, I don't know, figure it out. Find, drop a picture. Give us like one little picture, like an ARG or some shit. I don't know, something.
To your point, I think that because we live in an age where it's not just going to the film, like going to buy a movie ticket. That's not the only currency that's at play here. So a lot of these studios, they want to maximize the amount of word of mouth and stuff that they're doing. So that's why they want people to engage, because engaging is also a type of currency. So they're like, oh, if you get this stuff, then you're going to talk about it and you can be a walking billboard for me. And it's, some people will say, oh, well, we have to do that. Now, we actually don't have to do it. Like, there's this weird back and forth where there are companies that will say, oh, we need to do XYZ thing. And it's not that we need to do it. It's they want us to do it because they want a specific type of response from the consumers. And a lot of the consumers don't realize that they're being used in a certain kind of way. And so they just kind of go along with it without really interrogating what it is that they're going along with. And so then you have the consumer saying, oh, well, no, this is what we're doing now. This is what we need to do. This is how it's moving forward. It's like, but they were the ones that said to move forward in this way. It wasn't just something that happened organically. It was a business move to do that.
Right.
And then additionally, two quick things. So as far as trailers, I did think of two.
Oh yeah.
So when Sense8, I saw literally one trailer for the show Sense8 on TV before it came out, and I don't even remember everything about it. I just knew immediately. I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this.
Right.
Like, that was it. I only needed the one. And then the other trailer that did that for me was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I saw one trailer for it. I don't even remember when it was going to come out. I don't know the time frame between when I saw the trailer and when it actually came out. But all I needed was that one. So as far as, oh, we've got to have all this behind the scenes. I didn't need that. Like, I did not need that as somebody that enjoys film. And it's just wild that you have these companies, they're spending millions and millions of dollars on advertising and on cultivating all this extra content. And it's like, you talk about budgets and stuff, but you actually might not need to blow so much of your budget on this stuff.
Right.
If you make something that is quality and you make something that's engaging, then people that want to find it will find it. And it's easier to find that stuff now because of a lot more people have access to the internet than before. So imagine you had all this stuff before where a lot of people didn't have access to the internet, and even the people that did have access to the internet weren't necessarily connected in the same ways that we are now, and look at what they were able to do. So, it's not you have to do all this stuff. It's maybe your products just aren't that good and you're trying to make up for it in some kind of way.
Damn, Tara said skill issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tara makes a great point. I think, when you're talking about like what the studios are investing in, I think a great example of you have a trailer, but then you have a really cool advertising campaign about it. I think is the movie Smile, which had just like an awesome basically not even an ad campaign. It was literally just people being at like baseball games or basketball games, and they'd have these people that would have these super super creepy smiles, and they'd be sitting behind home plate, and so you would see this person,
right,
and in the broadcast the announcers would never allude to it. It would just be like, hey, does anybody see this person that's sitting here for 2 years that has the creepiest smile? Like it's been, they've literally been sitting here all 9 innings. They haven't moved. They're looking, they clearly know where the camera is and they're looking at it. And I just remember that having a buzz, and that being, kind of one of those small, I think it's a Blumhouse movie, like one of those small Blumhouse movies that ended up turning into a hit.
Yeah.
Same thing with Megan, which is a great example of like a trailer that knows fully what it is and leans into it. And then they had the dancing Megans at like baseball games and outside of the Today Show, and like all these different things that would make you go, oh, I wonder what this is about. Like, why is this robot doll dancing in the background of my morning news? Or, why is this person smiling while I'm looking at LeBron James play basketball? Like, I think, and those weren't trailers that showed a whole bunch. They showed you essentially what the movie was. But I think that type of marketing is great. I wish there would be some more like kind of out of the box marketing. It makes me think of The Dark Knight, when the Dark Knight came out and they just had Why So Serious, and it looked like there was just so much other advertising outside of the trailer, but it was really interesting. It like got you involved. And an honorable mention, not an honorable mention, this is just a great mention. So I think a Hall of Fame trailer is Paranormal Activity.
Dude.
Because
yes,
they focused on the audience. And that was such a good idea, because it was like, okay, no, I gotta see what's making these people freak the hell out.
Right.
Great trailer. Great. Yes. Showed you absolutely nothing about the movie other than people were fucking terrified of it.
Yes. That was the win. That was. So I think where we're taking this is, and it's going to be fun as we look at these, we're going to just judge the shit out of these two trailers, which are very different. But I think what we're seeing, what we're feeling is that studios need to get clever again about their
less is
marketing.
more.
Yeah, really is. It really. I mean, Matt even said that everything, everywhere, all at once also had a great trailer, which yes, absolutely, it absolutely did. So we'll see. I think what was something that was like excessive. It just came out too. It had so many fucking trailers. I don't remember what it was anymore. I was probably just blocked it out from my memory. But yeah, I would say that like even Wicked, which I can't fucking wait for. Just that very first fucking trailer they put out, I don't think they needed to release another one. I'm not mad at the trailer that came after that because it expanded upon the story a little bit more and it was just fucking good. So I'm not mad about it. But give me all the fucking singing in the Wicked and I don't care. But as far as like we were literally just talking about less is more. Like if you were a fan and if this was a movie that you had intended to go, like that's all you needed. Like that was it. Like that was, I don't know if anybody else here saw it, but like her hitting that fucking high note and the way it like fucking faded back. You heard I didn't need anything else. I didn't need shit. I was in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question for you or anybody else.
Absolutely.
So Wicked, the thing that struck me about the Wicked trailer,
right,
is I don't know that it's immediately clear that it's a musical because you hear her singing the high note, right?
Right.
But have you seen the show, Crystal, right?
I have. Yeah. Well, not okay. I didn't get to go see it. Did I go see the Wicked live? I think I saw Wicked live. I don't remember. But yeah, I fucking love Wicked. Let's go.
So I've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And so I recognize that, you know, that note is at a very critical part of the show.
Sure.
Right. And but I've noticed this thing that's been happening and I've read something about it. I can't give you a direct quote, but I was reading an article about musicals not advertising themselves as musicals and then people getting to the theater and being surprised. So like a very good example of this was Mean Girls has a musical.
Okay.
And that movie came out in January.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually footage of people not knowing that it's based on the Broadway show because the way if you watch the trailer, it looks like a remake of Mean Girls. Which your first question is, well, that's kind of weird. I know it's been a little bit of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why are we doing this? And in the trailer has no allusions to the fact that it's a musical, and you can actually go to YouTube and you could see footage of people like watching the movie,
mm-hmm.
and then they start singing, and they're like, "What?" And literally, they're like, "What is this?" And the same thing that they did with the Timothée Chalamet, the Willy Wonka movie,
mm-hmm.
which it's a musical.
Right.
They did not advertise it as a musical. And so kind of same thing with Wicked. I'm wondering if people are going to go to the movies on Thanksgiving and they're like, "Oh, we're getting like some other type of story about the Wizard of Oz." They're going to walk in and like maybe the average person, I would think the average person knows at least that Ariana Grande is a pop star.
Right.
And probably that Cynthia Erivo is most well known for Broadway acting, but maybe they don't, and they're just gonna walk in. They're gonna be like, "Wanna be Poppy?" They're like, "Why are they singing this?" Like,
I wonder. Like that's hard. Go ahead, babe. You got thoughts on that? Who's got thoughts?
That was Tara, but you can go ahead.
Oh, I didn't speak. I sneezed.
Oh, bless you.
Or I held back a sneeze.
What do you think, Tara?
So there's a couple points. So I think Wicked is slightly different from Willy Wonka, and I had no idea it was a musical at all. I had
no idea Wicked or Willy Wonka was.
No, I had no idea that the Willy Wonka with Timothée Chalamet, and I never saw the film, so this is brand new to me that it was a musical. That's interesting. But I think Wicked is slightly different in that it has a lot of pop culture life. Like before I knew about Wicked being a musical like years and years and years before I ever saw it on Broadway. And I knew, so I knew like a little bit of the story behind it. Whereas with Willy Wonka, it's never been in any kind of form, as far as I know, like a musical at all. But Wicked, I think it first was performed as a musical back in 2003, and it's been going on ever since then. So I think it has that kind of life. So even though,
So you think it's more like a cat situation where
Right.
people just like kind of culturally know it's a musical?
yeah, I think that's possibly it. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that have no idea too. So I definitely think that there will be people that go on like, what is this? Um, but to your question about um studios not advertising things as musicals when they are, I think they're scared in a lot of ways. Like I think they're terrified, which is
Mhm.
hilarious because when you look at old Hollywood, a lot of the films were musicals. Like the actors were dancing and singing and playing instruments and stuff. Like that was something that they did. And if
Right.
you did not have the ability to do that, then you were not going to get cast in the show because that was just
Right.
something that you had
You
to
had to
do.
be a triple threat back then.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting because there's been this shift, and again I think it's like this weird play between the consumers and then the studios, but there's been this shift of like serious serious film and serious cinema being this, it's going to be drama, like typically when you look at the award shows and everything, it's always, oh, the drama, like the drama, that's the focus. And
Hmm.
drama isn't sing-songy, well, I'm using that in air quotes. Drama isn't necessarily sing-songy. And so to make themselves, and by themselves I think the studios, to make themselves seem as being more serious, they've moved towards this, oh, let's not be so sing-songy and let's tell the audience this is what cinema is now. And so no, there's no singing. Like this is
Hmm.
everybody's serious face.
Hmm.
And so then audiences got used to that. So then when you try to introduce something different, they're like, what the fuck is this? You know how people, they start getting mad. And I think there are some, writers and directors. I don't know about the studios themselves, but I think there are creators that want to take some chances, but because of people relying on studios telling them this is what you're supposed to like, people don't, they go in and when they hear somebody singing, they don't even want to give it a chance because they're like, I'm not, no, I'm just get it out my face. Like I wasted my money without even just allowing, what's the phrase where you suspend your disbelief.
Hmm.
They're not
Yeah.
even allowing themselves to suspend their disbelief for just a moment to try to just see what their honest reaction to a project might be. So there's a whole bunch of different things that are happening with that. But I think generally studios are like, hey, you know what? We'll give you the money to go do this thing. We're just not going to say it's a musical. we're
It's
just
such a
we're just not going to
weird
say that
thing.
because
That is.
we're not going to make money back.
I
Because
don't.
like they're making it a musical. Like the thing that comes to mind is The Color Purple from last year,
Right.
which
Yeah,
I literally had family members that had no idea that this was based on the Broadway musical. They
Right.
still went
yeah,
to see it,
Right.
but
right.
I think it was my Theo Kenny went in and he was like super disappointed, not necessarily because it was a musical, but he was expecting, I think he was like, okay, they're doing this with different actors. And
Hmm.
so for him it was like, wait a minute, why are they singing what happened to, the movie that I loved, back in the 80s? And people were genuinely surprised. They were like, "Oh, I didn't know this was a movie." And I'm like, or a musical, and I'm kind of like, well, if you have Fantasia Barrino, who is an excellent fucking singer, like, why wouldn't you
Woo!
advertise that on the strength of her
Do
being
you
a great
know? Because when
that's
people found out that she was in it, oh my God.
I don't understand why the hesitation, because I remember, and it wasn't so long ago, that all of a sudden there was like this musical movie adaptation craze that happened, almost like the superhero one that exploded, right? Where it was it was Rent, then it was Chicago, then it was Phantom of the Opera, and I think they did another one after that, right? So like, and I don't remember the critical successes of like each one, but I feel like now that we have kind of shifted away, like you said, Tara, everything used to be like, can you sing, can you dance, otherwise I don't want you in my shit. We shifted away from that, right? But musicals never went away entirely. Like there are just episodes of things like Buffy, for example, had a musical episode, and there are other shows that introduced that. So it's not something that like disappeared. Broadway is still a fucking success in New York City, you know, like that.
You
and
know
there,
what? Something just came to me, Crystal.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Before I forget,
Sure.
I think I know why. I think because you made a good point, right? We had like that musical run in the mid to late aughts of like musicals that were doing successful at the box office, that were critically well received, that were getting awards. You know what I think happened?
Was it Cats?
Is fucking Cats happened.
Bro,
I think Cats
why
happened.
are they always taking the wrong lessons from things? And that's what's
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like that. Like what the fuck? Why is this?
It wasn't because Cats. It wasn't. It wasn't because it was a musical.
Bad.
It was because it was bad. It was a horrible. As we're talking about trailers, that was a horrible trailer. Like, and Willy Wonka did well,
right?
But I didn't know it was as much of a musical as it was until I saw it, and I had no idea
what the new
thought
Willy
it was
Wonka
really
was
charming.
a musical. I had no idea.
I thought that, and that's a reason why I think it could have made even more money, because a lot of people like me were like, well, didn't we just do a reboot of this badly with Johnny Depp? Why are we doing
it again?
This particular thing?
Right.
Oh, well, we're not doing this particular thing. It's actually a musical that's not about the chocolate factory. It's about the origins of Willy Wonka, whatever. But it's such a cute movie. It's made by the same guy who does the Paddington Bear movies. And I think like that would have been a good thing to just throw out there. Like, hey, this is actually a musical. This is not like the reboot of the reboot of the reboot. This is a different artistic take on it. And I think, like you said, Cats, man. They learn the wrong fucking lessons
every fucking time, because like I feel like musicals now are like kind of like niche, right? So you have to know that. I think that you can probably bring people to get butt in seats. Like, for example, I think Chicago did that really well because there were so many fucking headliners in Chicago, right? You had Queen Latifah, you had Catherine Zeta-Jones, you had fucking Richard fucking Gere, you know, like fucking, so you had like all these Renee Zellweger, so you like all these fucking headliners. Fuck, the other one was Cher and Christina Aguilera. Fuck, that one was fucking incredible. But again, you had people in it that you knew were going to bring, like, even if you're not a musical fan, you might go watch it because Cher and Christina Aguilera are in it together. Like, and if you go see something with Cher and Christina Aguilera, like, I know a lot of like singers act in movies, but even Whitney Houston sang in The fucking Bodyguard, y'all. So if you had like 9 times, I mean, I think Jennifer Lopez is kind of the only. I think Jennifer Lopez is the only, like, one of the few that come to mind who doesn't like sing and right. I know. But
we don't need that.
We don't need that. But anyway,
we'd have to get Ashanti to do it anyway.
Anyway, but like, just say it. Like, people who love musicals are gonna go see your shit. And then if you need headliners, I feel like that's what Wicked is doing well, right? Like, everybody, like, we're gonna go see Wicked because I want to hear my bitch sing my song. Like, I want that shit. But also, if you are new to Wicked, you might go see it because fucking Michelle Yeoh's in it, because Ariana Grande's in it. You know, that might be another reason that draws you to the movie. But bro, just say it, and you can make a musical a movie. Just don't do Cats. And Cats is a fantastic Broadway show. So the fact that y'all fucked that up as badly as y'all fucked that up.
You know what's sad is when I was younger, I remember seeing the commercials for the Broadway show of Cats.
Mm-hmm.
And I would
Mhm.
always say, I want to go see Cats. I want to go see Cats. But we never got a chance to see it. And then when the film came out, I was like, oh, maybe this will be my opportunity to kind of see it. And I saw the trailer. I was like, what? I don't want to, is this what it is? Because
Same.
I don't want any part of this.
Same. I remember those movies in LA. They'd be like Cats playing at the Pantages Theater, and I'd be like, man, I want to see like this show about cats. And this side note, I'm sorry, Andrew Lloyd Webber just has nothing on Stephen Sondheim. That's just me. Anyway, yeah, that's right. I
Shots
said it.
fired. That's a take. Oh shit.
I said it. But yeah, when I had the same reaction as you, Tara. I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Listen,
This looks
if you love
very
musicals,
not good.
Cats can't be the first one. And it's so wild to me because there were so many that were good before that. I think they hit like a little bit of a bump with Phantom of the Opera. That got like mixed reviews coming off like the critical success of like Rent and Chicago, and like Phantom of the Opera was kind of a mixed bag. But it was a mixed bag not because it was a musical, but because the adaptation was B tier compared to the ones that had came before it. So again, the problem isn't the genre. The problem is what you made in the genre. Like, that's not like, we don't stop making horror movies just because they're bad. Right? So I don't understand.
Some are bad,
right?
Some are good, but we still advertise them as horror movies.
Correct.
Like, you don't like Fast and the Furious as a family drama. No, that's not why anybody comes. Nobody comes to see it for that. No, you need to advertise that as something big and dumb so people know what they're getting. No, this is a small family drama about mechanics. Like, imagine if they advertise it like that. You went in there and you're thinking you're seeing awards bait, and it's just Vin Diesel for like 90 minutes saying, family, I am Groot, family. You know, like that.
I mean,
I would not be happy.
The Fast and the Furious movies really are just Vin Diesel saying family for 2 hours, if we're being completely honest. And then
They are the dumbest movies in the world, and I will go see every single one.
Really?
Especially the
They are
latest
so
one.
dumb.
They're so dumb. They're so fucking dumb. Oh, they keep just getting dumber. Like, they started out as like this gritty, like, we're gonna speed race and we're so like deep, and then they just like leaned into how ridiculous they were, and now they're fucking.
I know we're so off on a tangent, but
I know,
I
it's so
need Fast and the Furious to really step into like who it needs to be. Like, I need Fast and the Furious X Back to the Future. I need Fast and the Furious X Transformers. Like, I need it to be movies with other movies that have famous cars. Because could you just imagine like Optimus Prime and Vin Diesel, and for some reason they have to fight like Charlize Theron, Cypher, and Megatron.
My God.
And
I would
Cypher's like talking. I'd pay $100 for that.
You know what? Just so I don't lose it. You know what was a movie that I appreciated for how fucking ridiculous it was? And I don't remember. It was some movie with Jason, how you pronounce his last name, Strathair, whatever the fuck his name is. My boy, right? And he's fighting I think it was like his second one about this fucking shark. And
Oh my god.
yeah. So I don't know if y'all have seen that, but what I appreciated about this movie is that it knew from Jump Street that it was going to be stupid, and it just leaned into it. Like, the very first shot is a fucking dinosaur coming out of the ocean to eat something, and then the fucking shark eats the dinosaur. So like, they set the tone at the beginning that we're just dumb. No, my God, no, Tara. And then it just leads, and then it just gets more ridiculous. Like, there's a shark, and then there's an octopus, and then there are fucking dinosaurs, and they're just like, whatever, bro.
It's my 6-year-old niece's favorite movie.
I fucking love
Shout
that
out to
movie,
Nyla.
Dude.
It's
Dude,
Nyla's
I fucking
favorite
love
movie.
it.
She
I
will
love
watch
it.
the
It's
movie.
so good. Yes.
That's wild.
So you know what?
That's
At this point, yes, Fast and the Furious has nothing more to do than to just lean into how fucking ridiculous it is.
Raise the stakes.
You listen.
Fast and the Furious X Power Rangers.
Listen,
Put Dom behind a fucking Megazord, you know?
Listen, but wait, and then have Rita Repulsa. Can you imagine Dom and Rita Repulsa, and then Lord Zed coming in? Listen, and then Goldar and Vin Diesel.
I think
Hey,
Gerald just
Hollywood,
fucking Twitch
you want to
somewhere.
print money? You want to print money, Hollywood? We got an idea for you.
Listen, and then have Bulk and Skull, because they surely would come. They surely
Yeah.
would come and reprise their roles because they love doing that.
And you know how like Tyrese and Ludacris are like the comic relief? We could put them with Tyrese and Ludacris, and like it would just, it's gold. It writes itself.
It's just put them all like, hey guys, just here's the basic premise. This is what we're going to go with. What do you think?
We gotta shut the fuck up about this. Okay, we're giving away billions.
I know.
We're giving away billions.
Honestly.
Write that script right now and copyright it immediately. Let's go.
JV and Terror production. We're gonna be filthy rich.
Make it happen. Make it fucking happen. I hope you guys appreciated the tangent that we get on here at Listen Up Nerds. That's just how we roll. We are the perfect way to spend 2 hours of your time listening to us talk about this kind of shit and fantastic ideas. Listen, Hollywood, you better call JV, you better call Tara. Don't just be stealing that. That was them. Before we get into these trailers, speaking of fandom, and studios taking the wrong fucking lesson from things, let's talk about their new great idea. So there was an article that came out. Shout out to Discussing Film over on Twitter. I love Discussing Film. They are like, I love them. They're just like homies. They like, when the strike was happening, they're like, fuck these studios. You know how other people were like wording things like, weirdly. Discussing Film was like, no, anyway, here's who you should be mad at. But anyway, so they shared an article, and the gist of this article, I'm gonna just give you guys the too long didn't read, because it really is that studios have basically, and this was from Variety, studios have basically decided that the way to battle toxic fandom is to put together a focus group of fans, show them early previews of things, get their opinion, and then decide whether or not things should be changed. If you're listening to this, you don't see that JV just about threw himself out of his chair, out of a window, off the planet.
This is so dumb.
This
is so
a lot to unpack.
It's so I need to find. Hang on, I'm gonna let JV go ahead. Why don't you just give us your thoughts, and I'll find actual quotes from this ridiculousness, because these are, bro. Just go ahead.
So, the idea that you are going to make a film by committee is something that we know is happening in Hollywood right now, specifically when it comes to our IP, right?
Right.
Like we know that there's going to be a committee of people who have to look at what goes into a Marvel movie or a DC movie or Transformers movie or Star Wars movie. They're just big billion-dollar IPs. So the idea that you're going to actually shoot the movie that everybody's agreed to shoot, and then you are going to test it with an audience of super fans to determine if the movie is up to snuff is, I think, one of the most insane things that I have ever heard. Because this is more than a focus group. This is not just a focus group. You're talking about people who are they are super fans. We don't know if these fans are super positive. We don't know if they're super toxic, but they are super fans. And the issue with either of those two things is that you're going to get into such dumb specifics that it's going to kill other parts of what makes the story the story. Like, for example, Crystal and I talked about this ad nauseum. We're very split on The Last Jedi, right?
Mm-hmm.
But could you imagine if they put a group of fans
Oh fuck.
in charge of what the final cut of that would be? We can argue all day whether it's a good Star Wars movie,
Sure.
whether it's, hey, this is a bad Star Wars movie, but this would be a good movie had it not been for whatever.
Right.
But we're gonna have people talking about like lore and things the average audience member does not understand.
Sure.
And I think it sends a bad message to fans. I think what we can do is we can be critical of something and we can also vote with our dollars.
Right.
Like we could just say, hey, this thing that you put out, we are not going to see.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're going to have really critical discussions of it. But I think fandom, oftentimes we talk about the really, really toxic fandom as being kind of that incel culture, the racist culture. That stuff is there. But there's another toxic fandom that doesn't have a problem with any of that, but is also gatekeeping so much that they won't allow a studio to make something
different
that would appeal to a broad audience or do something different. What if I want to take Star Wars and I want to do The Acolyte?
Right.
We got to remember there were racist fans, there were sexist fans, there were homophobic fans. There were also fans that were none of those things, but complaining about like, well, this guy doesn't appear here.
Oh my god.
This guy,
Bro,
this
the
episode doesn't
fucking
work for me because this
about
guy
Kid
doesn't.
Al Mundy. Jesus fuck.
So that type of thing is like, those are two different types of fandoms, but those are fandoms that if you feed them, that affects whether or not that guy should have been there wasn't integral to the story of The Acolyte. But if you have a super fan focus group, then that might become important. And then what are we talking about? Because you have people who are like a very small percentage of the fandom going in either direction that are trying to tailor it to their needs instead of the general fandom's needs. This is like a bad it's bad for directors. It's like fans, we're all fans. I'm gonna tell you right now, as a former musician, if there was a focus group of super JV fans as a rapper, and they were like, you know what, man, these 5 bars right here, we think you should change that because I don't know if that really jives with the whole vibe of the album. What? What? Like, no, we're not. That's crazy. That's nuts. Like, that's giving way too much power to the fans. Like, let fans be fans. These fans are not movie directors. They're not screenwriters. Like, it's just a bad idea.
There are so many. We talk about, like, we've talked ad nauseum as this group. You guys should feel lucky to hang out with us, really, because we talk about this stuff all the time, not when we're not live. But we've talked about ad nauseum about studios taking the wrong idea from things, and this article perfectly illustrates it because, like, we're gonna break this down here. I want to go back to your first point, JV, about like fans, casual fans, super fans. So John Van Critters, who is apparently the VP of the Star Trek brand development, who has been with the franchise since the 1990s, literally says the vast majority of any fandom are casual fans. And the number of people who live and die on their franchises are very, very few. And then those who come after things that they espouse to love with venom are a tiny subset of that already subset fandom. It's just much easier to see now than it was in 1995, right? And so we know that, right? We know that there are a lot of fucking haters, but they're just fucking loud, right? So the article goes on to say that TV execs have decided, and this is probably why we see that Disney doesn't defend. Okay, we've had that conversation before about how Disney doesn't do fuck all for like their actors who come under fire, because they have decided that the best way to combat that toxicity is to just not engage with it, and that it will burn itself out. That's a quote from the article. Right. No, I'm not right. Right. An actual fucking marketing executive says we don't engage with the negativity because we don't want to draw attention to it. Like, it's not 2024 and everybody doesn't have a fucking podcast and a Twitter and an Instagram and a YouTube and it's just right. So that my brain's fucking exploding on that. But literally, he's just like, you don't want to give it. What did he say? We don't want to give it too much oxygen. So we just don't engage with we just ignore the toxicity.
Yeah. That is something.
Like, and go ahead, Tara. Yes, please.
There's a lot of things with this decision. Like, there's so many layers to unpack, but like what JV mentioned is if they go and they ask these people, hey, like you're crowdsourcing a creative project that you wanted to bring to the world.
Right.
And to me, that's just, if they weren't supposed to be a part of it in the beginning, then don't include them. Like he said, if you've already created the thing, it's already been made,
right,
then just release it. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, it feels like a waste of time, because you're going to waste the time of the editors, of the actors, of the composers, possibly, because people might complain about the music, of the people doing the Foley work, of the gaffers, of like the costume designers. You're going to be wasting a lot of people's time. It's going to be a waste of a lot of money. And then also, I think another question is, they're so vague with these ideas that they present, but I think it's really important to ask, okay, so you're going to have these super fans. Okay, what's the criteria? Like, how are you going to determine who's going to be able to access these screenings? Because then you might run into a situation where you're going to have only certain types of people involved in the thing. And so if those particular people are going to have so much power in determining the direction of this project, then, we're just going to be back at square one. We're just going to still have these issues. And then also, this is, I get so frustrated, because this is my issue when people don't like to call a thing a thing. They like to use the phrase toxicity and all of that, but they like to use it as a scapegoat because they don't want to call people, they don't want to say, oh, people are being homophobic, people are being misogynist. They don't like to use those phrases, because then I think part of it is they don't want to be sued for libel or slander. However, you're not naming any specific person. Right. So you don't have anything to worry about with that. But they are cowards. They're cowards. They have a history of not supporting people who are marginalized, and that's part of the problem. Like, that's what happens when you sweep stuff under the rug. It's like you clearly, it's not somebody saying, oh, your blue shirt is ugly. You have people literally receiving death threats because they were in a show.
Right.
Literally receiving death threats, receiving emails, being harassed,
right,
being harassed online, being harassed in person if somebody happens to recognize them. And you are saying, oh, it will just burn itself out. The ignoring this has real ramifications. People's lives are they're truly in danger. And it's because you refuse to acknowledge that and address it head on, you are complicit in these people having their lives affected negatively. Even if somebody doesn't go and physically attack them, the mental toll, anybody that's lived oppressed and marginalized in society can tell you the mental toll that it takes every single day. And then imagine when you're involved in a project with a very large company and you get global screen time, that that mental toll is magnified so much, and you really can't get away from it. Like, people have had to delete their social media accounts because they've been harassed so much. And it's just frustrating when I mean, it's not just frustrating, it's frustrating and angering when you have these studios constantly just trying to sweep stuff under the rug because they don't want to anger the homophobes. They don't want to make the homophobes angry. They don't want to make the so and so, but there's a whole other discussion that we can get into as to why. But that's one of the reasons why. And then they start to they come up with these ridiculous ideas to avoid the thing. Like, it's like you're going all the way around. You're going all the way around the bush. You're beating all the way around the bush because you don't want to address you don't want to address it, and that's why you continue to run into these problems, and it's going to continue to get worse because people are more and more and more connected, and these studios really don't care about the privacy of a lot of these actors. They have to go on so many different press conferences, so many different conventions and all this stuff to do this promotion, which I understand, but it seems like they have to do more and more and more and more and more. And so they don't have that distance, so to speak, between themselves and the fandom. And so it's just like, stop avoiding calling a thing
Right.
and take care of people. Like, if you really cared about people, let's just, don't be ridiculous. You're just looking out for your pockets. That's what it is at the end of the day. You want to see who you could make happy, and you want to try to make the people that are being the most harmful the happiest. And what does that say about you? And then that's what I'm gonna say about that.
And you're 100% right, because like it's like a contradiction in things, right? Because one of the very first quotes in the article is from the guy who's been involved in Star Wars since the 90s, right? And he even says that most fans are casual. They're super fans I know we're loud, right? But we're rare. Like, there's just people who are casually dipping their toe into things, casually love it. There's not, you might have Lord of the Rings fans, Star Wars fans, whatever, but the majority of people that consume the media are just people who just consume the media, right? So everybody that apparently Variety talked to through this article all agreed that the best defense is to avoid provoking fandoms in the first place. In addition to standard focus group testing, studios will assemble a specialized cluster of superfans to assess possible marketing materials for a major franchise project. Because they're very vocal, says the studio exec, they will tell us if you do this, fans are going to retaliate. So again, that goes right back to the question we have. Like, one, why are we picking superfans? Number one. If your idea is to make the most money, superfans are the last fucking people you should talk to. You should talk to Barbara, right, who does not know fuck all about anything that you're doing in this franchise. But then again, like, who are these people? Like, who what? But and also why? Like, what? Hannah, what do you think about this?
My only thought is, what pool exactly are you pulling from for this debate?
Like, and that's literally
that's all I got, really, because I'm looking at all the hate that fucking Acolyte has gotten from that group. Are you talking about that group that you want to have this whole like predetermined, like, I don't know where to start to unpack this because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I think there's so many things in this. So, like, to take it beat by beat, I understand to some degree what that executive is saying by, like, hey, we gotta ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
And The problem with that is yeah, you're right. You don't want to give fuel to the fire, but you need to acknowledge as a studio that you stand behind what you're making, that you
Mhm.
stand behind your creatives, that you stand behind your actors.
Sure.
That actively needs to be something that you do. That needs to there. I, it, for me, you can only address it once. You don't have to address it for every tweet. But if you see something like what we've seen on, I mean, any number of projects, whether it be the Acolyte, the Marvels, Captain America: Brave New World is getting it. I've seen some horrible things
Bridgerton is getting
about
it
Anthony Mackie.
hilariously.
Yeah,
Bridgerton is
Bridgerton's
currently.
getting it.
Yeah.
Everything is getting it. I think there has to be, yes, like what I would like to see is say something. Do what, because they pointed out Lord of the Rings in this article, where the Lord of the Rings team and Amazon basically came out and said, "Hey, like you're not a real part of this fandom."
Mm-hmm.
And if we're standing behind our actors, they got other actors from legacy actors from the franchise to come in and be a part of that. And it turns out in the second season, they said what they said.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really address it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out in the second season that their ratings are fine and that a lot of that stuff is died down.
Sure.
Right? Because you've addressed it and then you've ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not feeding the trolls, they don't get it. But you have to address it. Like you absolutely have to address it. You don't have to keep addressing it, but when it happens, you can't just be like, we're not going to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's one part of this that yeah, I just fundamentally disagree with them that you ignore it completely. I do agree it is a small subset of fans, but they are vocal. And the hateful ones are the ones that are putting in probably the most work. So as a company, I think you need to address it.
This happened like
The
recently. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead, Pixel.
This happened like real recently with like a game company that were a lot of like transphobic people were going after a specific voice actor, and then from there jumped the entire cast. And literally, like executive producers and shit came out, and normally they're pretty quiet about some issues, but they came out for this one and said, in more professional words, they literally said like, "You will not attack our VAs, and if you continue to do so, you're not welcome here." And that was the end of
Right.
that.
Right.
It makes a difference. Like to address it, because I don't think it's good to keep addressing it. Like, but to address it when it happens, to take a stance like that game company did, or to take a stance like Amazon and the creators and the actors from Lord of the Rings did, it will, I think, shut those people up. And then the second thing here is focus groups, I don't think are necessarily a bad thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
there have been times where movies have been run by focus groups and audiences literally said that ending is fucking horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And those focus groups turned out to be right. When the deleted ending was put on the DVD and people were like, "Oh man, if they would have went with that, this would not have made that money. This would not be as critically acclaimed." So focus groups can be good. But the thing about focus groups is they're made up of a wide range of people.
Right.
And so when you're getting that feedback, you're not just getting it from somebody who, again, um, who is the super fan and what are the qualifications for that?
Right.
Because even if we take out every single homophobic, transphobic, racist, bigoted piece of shit fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we say, okay, now we have the I guess to be super fans, I guess you could be level headed, but we have the people who love this thing the most
Mm-hmm.
and are also good and decent people. The problem with that is even if you make it that group is looking at that IP in a completely different way than the average person is.
100%.
And so they're not able to I think give real criticism. And again, we talked about this earlier. This is Hollywood taking the wrong lessons. The Marvels is a great, to me, a great example of this. They see a movie led by 3 women. 2 of them are women of color. One of them, Brie Larson, is a well-known, outspoken advocate for many disenfranchised people, stands against domestic abuse, is not afraid to make a public statement. There are many, many asshole, toxic masculinity motherfuckers that are just like, this is a shitty movie, we're not going to see it. It bombs at the box office, right? But then what we have to look at is, well, did it bomb at the box office because all these fans thought it was whack, or did it bomb at the box office because they couldn't promote it because it was happening during the strike? Right. So anything that they would have done, Hot Ones, the Vogue quizzes and stuff that everybody likes, BuzzFeed, morning shows, late night shows, that's all gone. Doesn't exist. Can't promote it. It you know, and it also happens during a time where, like, other people can't promote it. The writers, you can't have the writers of the film go and promote it because all these things are happening at the same time. Right. So Nia DaCosta, the director, she can't go promote it because she can't talk about the movie. Right. Well, if you have a movie that comes out in the middle of a strike that you can't promote, then how are people going to know to watch it? Right. Like, that's the wrong lesson. A superfan's not going to fix that problem. A superfan's not going to fix your problem with whatever you didn't like about The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. Those problems were embedded a long time ago. Right. A focus group wasn't going to be able to fix either of those movies to the satisfaction. So if you're an executive, to your point, Crystal, why are you making it for such a small percentage of people? Whether they are good and noble superfans, or they are the dregs of humanity superfans, they still are superfans. Right. And that's great to be in your personal life. That does not mean that you have a creative bone in your body or that you have a promotional bone in your body that you really and truly understand. Because I think the moral of all these stories is, like, especially with the quote unquote toxic, diversity actually does well. Like, it does well. If you put people of color in your movie, if you put gay people in your movie, if you put trans people in your movie, if your movie is led by women, it will find an audience. It will find an audience. Right. So again, go back to the drawing board. Stop making stuff so expensive. Really be locked in. If you're going to have these multiverses, then be locked into, hey, how do we make this not feel like homework so somebody actually wants to go see it? Right. Do those things. And if you do all those things and you do regular focus groups and then it doesn't work, then maybe you come back to us with these super fan ideas. But this is just stupid. This is just dumb.
As a creator myself, I can't fathom it. I can't. Can y'all imagine that I would just told y'all, hey, before we put out the next episode of anything on Tales, I'm going to get together a group of super fans and let them tell me whether or not this script is good.
Right. Just... I mean, let's be real.
That fucking story
we're all
me.
friends.
Fuck out of here.
We're all friends outside of here. Right. We're all friends outside of this. If you came to me and you were like, hey, Jay, before I put out this next episode, I need your thoughts. Why would you maybe would ask that as a friend? Sure. But I would be shocked because I'm not the creator. Like, the stories are living inside the creators' heads. Right. And to shoot something and then to, like, the way that focus groups traditionally work, just they happen after the movie has happened, and movies have built-in reshoots. That's a normal thing. But the idea that, like, we might shoot some of this and then bring in the super fans, and the super fans are like, no, if you do this, they will hate Iron Man forever.
Right. And then they're like, oh no. You know?
Right. Like, I don't know how to feel about Iron Man as Doctor Doom. I don't know how to feel about Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. But here's the thing I won't do. Like, I'm not the Russo brothers. They're making the movie.
Right.
So even if I have questions about it, I might still be critical of it, but at the end of the day, I'll see it like everybody else. I have no business being there and being like, well, Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom. Let me tell you, brother, that scene that you did there, I think you should go back and recast and reshoot the whole movie. Get the fuck out of here. It's the dumbest shit.
Tara is correct. Tara is 100% correct when she said that they are literally going around a whole, instead of just, there's a path. And it's one that's been there. It's not even like it's a new path either. Like, it's the path that's always been there that for whatever reason that I genuinely can't fucking fathom. Even just looking at this from like a completely like just bottom line, I'm just trying to make fucking money bottom. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, it genuinely doesn't. Like, in the article, they talked about like when Obi-Wan came out, Disney did the bare fucking minimum. They put up one tweet. They were like, yo, don't be racist. Fucking Obi-Wan came out. He was like, yo, don't be racist. They were still racist, right? But the problem was then you released more Star Wars. And I feel like every time you put out, you got to say it again. Like, you just got to repeat yourself. Like, they were silent during the Acolyte. Like, fucking word. Right. And that was a perfect time for y'all to come out and say some shit. Like, it was too much money. Whatever the reason was that you canceled it, instead of letting the worst of your fandom go off on a tangent that they were right, because then it doesn't matter what you said 20 minutes ago. Like, if you don't, like, like, if you're not going to be consistent, and like, agreed, you don't have to say it every fucking day, but you've got to be consistent in your reason. Yeah, you got to say it. When your actors are getting attacked, like Tara said, like death threats, getting like whatever. Fuck social media boot camp. They talked about that in the article, how they put their actors through social media boot camp. Fuck that. Speak up. Like, you are Disney. There are very few people on this planet that can step to you. Speak up. Like, this is the time. Like, say the thing. Don't get a super fan focus group to tell you what, like, can you imagine if they'd have got a whole bunch of, come on.
I mean, we're gonna see. I mean, to sort of put a button on it, I think we're gonna see it in February when Brave New World comes out, because, man, when I tell y'all, like, there was a supposed plot leak that came out, and I was looking through it last night, not the plot leak, but to see what people were tweeting about. And imagine the things that people are tweeting about a Black Captain America.
Sure.
Right? They're going to have a really, like, starting in December or November, whenever they're really going to start going into heavy promotion on this, they're going to have to say something. And if they don't, it's going to be very, very loud by a really small, I think, insignificant group of people, but people who do say enough to get through. And if Disney does not learn its lessons from the Acolyte, if it doesn't learn its lessons from the Marvel or She-Hulk, if it doesn't learn these lessons, then you're going to have one of your most prominent characters, and every time you pull up Captain America, you're going to see a bunch of horrible, horrible fucking shit.
Right.
So, like, hey, this is a mainstay character. This is a black man picking up the shield.
Right.
It means something, just like it means something to see a black woman pick up a lightsaber in Star Wars. This all means something. I know it maybe means something different to us than maybe some other people, but those things are significant to us, right?
Sure.
They need to be protective of this crew and this cast. They need to stand very firm, and it needs to be the normal way of doing things from this point on. And to be clear, I mean, like, if somebody says something about a particular project, that's when you say something. I'm not saying like every, like, oh, you say something for one project, you don't say it for, no, every time it comes up, you say something, and you come out very, very, very strong. Yes. If you got to get, what's our man's name? Chris Evans. If you got to get Chris Evans out there in in an Anthony Mackie t-shirt, then you better get him out there in an Anthony Mackie t-shirt.
Right.
You better make it clear to these fans that you're not welcome in these parts.
Right. I mean,
especially with how diverse it's going to be.
100%. Because I remember the CW had to do that with the Flash. Because there were a lot of people that didn't like Flash's girlfriend. They made her black.
Yeah, Iris.
Yeah, Iris. And I just remember
Yeah,
Flash, he came out and he was just like, well, you can go fuck yourself because she's ours. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, they were just very clear in messaging. Before we move on to these trailers, we all think this is a bad idea. Tara, how do you fix it? You are a TV executive. How do you solve the stupidity?
You mean the toxic fans?
Sure. How do we I mean, you are in a room with these executives, Tara. What do you say to make them realize that they are doing the dumbest shit imaginable?
Man, they wouldn't even, I would be fired. I would be fired.
I think we
because
all would.
I would absolutely make it clear that the people creating these things are people and they are to be respected, especially when they're being attacked on their personhood. They're not necessarily if somebody's saying something that is harmful, and I mean, like, if somebody from the crew, actor, somebody from the actual creative team of the film, if they're saying something that's harmful to people, then yeah,
right.
Say some shit, do what you got to do, deal with that person. But in protecting people from these fans, you have to make it clear this is where you stand. The main thing is a lot of these companies they like to hide behind really vague phrasing, and that is a problem. Right. Because you can have different programs for your actors because the actors, again, they're people. They also come with their own baggage. There are plenty of actors that are terrible people. So but it's like you have to approach these things from a lot of different standpoints. So if you know of an actor that is a terrible person and has a history of abuse, then you have to question, do you actually want that person on your crew?
Right.
Do you want them to be a part of your project? Is it that, oh, well, I like how you act, but even though you have a history of abuse and maybe you have a big name, maybe you don't have a big name, but we know about the stuff that you do, we're just going to excuse that. Like, to me, I can't jive with that. Like, right. I can't, because it shows that you're willing to accept very real harm so long as you can make money from it.
Right.
And I don't agree with that at all. So if I happen to be part of a project and I happen to let something slide, then come check me. Like, tell me, Tara, remember when you said tell me, because I want to be corrected. I want to make sure that I stand on my word, because that's how harm is perpetuated. So if you're willing to do that for somebody that you're working on, of course you're not going to be willing to say stuff when you have these fans coming up and saying all kinds of stuff. So you have to approach it from multiple sides. Approach it in-house, but also approach it externally. Let the fans know we are not going to tolerate your racism. If you are found to be making death threats, we will take legal action against you.
Oh my God, can you imagine if Disney actually came out and said that?
Like, we will, and we're not going to pit it on our actors. Our actors aren't going to have to find lawyers. We will use our billions and billions of dollars to go after you. Ourselves, because we take the safety, the mental safety and the physical safety of our people that we're working with very seriously. And then, as a side note, Disney should also pay the people that work at the Disney parks, so that they don't have to get second and third jobs to support themselves. That's a side note.
Mm-hmm. Just shouting people. We just causing all the trouble. Let's just be real with it though.
But you have to do that. That's like the bar is below the ground, right? The bar is
God, it
below the
really
ground.
is. It's so low.
That's what we're working
Hmm.
with. So that's the bare minimum that you can do is stand up for these people, because it's these people that are bringing in the millions and billions of dollars. You know, the executives aren't necessarily doing it. They might have an idea for something, but they're not the ones out going and doing the work. They're not editing. They're not the ones memorizing the lines. They're not the ones doing the art. They're not the ones doing that hard work. It's these people. And so at the very least, you should take up for these people because they're people,
Yeah.
and also because they're the ones making you the money, but you should do it because they're people first. So, stand up for people, and then be true to your word. So if you do see people causing trouble, then block them from, you don't even have to really engage with them. If you see people, there's a fine line between understanding criticism for a project, but if somebody is being very blatantly, derogatory or homophobic or something, like, just block them so they can't even see your social media. Like, make them work harder, because then they're going to have to go and create more, another account just so that they can see. Because people do that, they'll create multiple accounts just so that they can harass you, but make them do the work, but don't block them. Block them from your social media, block them from your blogs. You have enough money to block people's IP. Go ahead and do that.
I would love it.
You can do that. And to some people that might seem harsh, but you have to, like, that's part of allowing them to fizzle out, because at some point they're just going to get tired. They're going to get really, really mad, but you don't have to argue with them. You just say, listen, this is what we told you. We're not going to accept this. You don't have to like the show or the film, but you are not going to be violent, because it is violence. And that's another thing where some people, they think violent is just me punching somebody in the face. There's different types of violence. We're not going to allow this violence here. You're not going to make threats. You're not going to be racist. You're not going to be homophobic. You're not allowed to do that in our house. If you want to do that in your house,
Right.
we still don't agree with it, but that's your business. And, just cut them off. And at some point, they're going to get frustrated. They'll go on their little blogs and stuff and talk about how Disney was mad and be like, ha ha ha, I triggered them. But you're the one writing a blog post about them blocking you after they told you, cut it out. And you're the one spending your time doing that. So what's the real deal?
I
But
want Disney to
yeah.
treat these incels the way J.K. Rowling treats people when they say shit she doesn't like. Like, if you say some shit about that fucking wizard lady and you're in Britain, she will fucking drop that Sue hammer on you, like, so quick. To the point that, I don't know if people know this, like, she actually said some, like, actual, like, anti-Semitic shit. And then somebody called her out on that. And because of British libel laws, that person had to apologize and take that tweet down. And then everybody, and then America did what America does and made me actually proud to be patriotic for once. But I would, like, if somebody actually, like, was like, dropped the, like, because we know they do it, right? Drop the death threat in, like, the actress who played Reva or anybody on the Acolyte team. And Disney was like, no, we actually sued them. Can you fucking imagine? Like, how has this not happened yet? How are you, like, y'all will literally go at, like, somebody sells a t-shirt with the wrong fucking thing on it, makes like $20, and y'all are like, cease and desist. But your actual actors get death threats, and all of a sudden y'all ain't got no lawyer.
Anyway. Well, I mean, the thing
wild.
is, I can't speak on
That's
a
wild.
particular studio because I don't want to get sued for slander or libel.
That's all right.
But
My
the
thoughts
way
are my
that
own. My thoughts are my own. I said it. Fucking Disney.
the way that I interpret that as is it's a blockade to them making money, right? So if some small person is making a little shirt with some IP on it, And even if it's $5,
Right.
it's still, that's $5 that the studio could have had that person then has made off of them. And
Right.
when people are making death threats and stuff, it's like, oh, well, we still want these people making the death threats to come see our money or to come see our movie because we want to make some money off of them. And and the broader thing, which I won't get into
We could do a
too
whole other
much, is
podcast on that, Tara. Don't worry.
the broader thing is we have to look at the context in which this this whole ecosystem of film, like Hollywood specifically, we have to look at the context in which it exists. It doesn't exist in a bubble. It exists in a capitalist a capitalist society, and it exists. Hollywood specifically was born out of a very specific country with a very specific type of history. And that also needs to be considered for why it's so hard to make changes now. You know, and that's just the fact. You know, people could get mad, oh, it's the past and did it. No, because people are still operating off of these, and I'm not going to call them antiquated because they're not necessarily antiquated. It's just it's a way of like there are certain policies that were put in place to shut people out of certain areas and all that. And there are people that believe certain people should literally not exist. So like that's the society that we live in. And we can look at Hattie McDaniel, who had to have a completely separate event so that she could accept her award for, I think it was Best Supporting Actress in Gone with the Wind, because she was black. Like
Right.
that's what we're dealing with, right? So, and people don't want to look at that history. We can look at in 1915 when Birth of a Nation came out. That was a major film. Oh my God. And it was touted as this magnificent. So, like, this is the history that we're dealing with. We're not just dealing with, oh, this company doing this. All of this history is a part of that for where we are today. It's not separate from, it's not a long time ago.
Right.
You know, if you don't acknowledge what has happened in the past and you constantly refuse to ignore it and um, refuse to try to atone, like properly atone for ills that occurred, then those ills are going to continue, and they persist in a lot of different ways. So, you know, like that's another part of the discussion that that needs to be had, that a lot of these companies don't, they never ever refer to whenever they're giving these interviews. They never talk about that. It's just, well, you know, we just have to make
Super
up
fan
something that,
focus group. Super fan
you know,
focus
because
group. Right.
that's gonna fix it.
That'll
And
fix it.
no, there's a lot of other stuff at play that they refuse to acknowledge, and that's why we keep running into the same shit all the time.
True facts. True facts. Preach it, sister. Preach it. You said something though that was funny to me that just made me realize, like, just it's like this pile of taking the wrong lessons, things off the wrong. Because I remember you talked about how you don't work with bad actors, right? And I promise y'all after this we're gonna get to the trailers. But you talked about how don't work with shitty people, right? And we all remember how we were like, damn, DC, you're going to let that guy be your Flash. Like, remember that and that whole Flash movie and all that, right? So then,
Mhm.
I don't even remember what happened to that movie. I don't know if it was a critical success or not, or if it flopped because it sucked.
It was a extreme flop.
Extreme. Unsurprised, just because it's DC and they can't find their way out of a paper bag to save their lives.
It was a bad movie. No,
Right.
they could have put anybody in that movie. It was a bad movie.
It was just a bad movie, right? So keep right, but there was rightfully like a lot of backlash for them like using this guy, right? For once, people were like, "What the fuck?" And then the stuff happens with their Disney, like go switch over to Marvel now, and we've got this problem with like Kang, right? And we talked about this before, like instead of maybe gently using pre-existing lore to switch some things. They did a complete fucking let's nuke the whole country and just make RDJ like they don't take the right lessons from shit. They don't take the like good job, right? We don't want this guy in our movie anymore because he sucks. Love it, great. But like now instead of doing anything that would like make sense, let's just get Iron Man to be Dr. Doom.
But I think so, and this isn't really pushback. I think this is just more like additional information on some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, like, because here's the thing. Americans are Americans.
Right.
And for the most part,
mm-hmm.
and you know what? I'm not even going to limit it to Americans. This is just a human thing. People can compartmentalize, right? So you can have somebody who is a bad person, but they're good at thing A. And if you're not thinking about the bad thing that they did,
mm-hmm.
or it's not recent, or maybe you just don't know because you're not online, you're not informed of it, you'll forgive it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you won't forgive it, but you'll excuse it for the 2 hours that they're playing a character and we're in this world, right? I honestly think with Ezra Miller's situation in The Flash, had that been a good movie, they would be starring in a second Flash. Like, had that been a good movie, they would be starring in a second Flash. The thing with Kang, the thing with Jonathan Majors and Kang, right? I think just from what I've read and seeing Ant-Man Quantumania, I think his conviction kind of saved them from having to do something. I think after Ant-Man underperformed
mm-hmm.
and the way that they wrote the character,
mm-hmm.
right? They made him lose to Ant-Man. That can't be your big bad of your whole thing if you make him lose to Ant-Man. And I will say 99.9% I'm positive, and I believe the scoops I've read and where I get those scoops from, that movie had a completely different ending, which was not focus group tested,
mm-hmm.
but was done by committee.
Mm.
And that ending made Kane feel more like Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
They felt like audiences would not be happy with it.
Mm.
And so Ant-Man won. And that just fundamentally throws off your ability to have this guy be your big bad if a dude who has the powers of an ant can beat him, right? So I think that was actually a saving grace for Disney, because it was easier to say, hey, he's out of the paint because he got convicted, and we're not gonna stand for that sort of thing, than to be like, this movie just really didn't work out and this whole thing's not working out and we need to pivot. And to the very specific superfan focus group part of it, I'll say this: when Michael Keaton was cast as Batman, fans did not want him. When Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, fans did not want him. Fans don't know shit about movie making. Most of them don't know anything about movie making. They don't know anything about casting. They don't know anything about pacing or plotting. Those are two great examples of people who are considered to be at the top of the tops for what they did. In many people's opinions, for their portrayal of those characters. If you had a group of super fans that were sitting there and they were like, I just don't believe Michael Keaton is Batman, that's a completely different movie. We're talking about a completely different history.
Yeah.
So the idea of having these super fans is just a bad idea. And to everything that Tara was saying, I mean, that's a whole other. I think you made so many good points, Tara. That's a whole other like that's its own podcast.
Oh yeah,
How
absolutely.
we really talk about the fandom and it specifically and what that means and why it is the way it is and how
Hmm.
you go about changing that. But to purely from the movie standpoint, it just doesn't make sense. Fans just it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to do this. Focus groups make sense. Focus groups have been like what focus groups are good for is changing the name of a movie because the
Right.
name of the movie doesn't tell you what it is. You
Right.
guys know the movie Field of Dreams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Field of Dreams was originally called Shoeless Joe after the baseball player Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Oh no.
So
The
glad
look,
they changed
the,
that. Good job.
right. The look on your face is what the audiences did. They said, "Well, we watched this movie. It's called Shoeless Joe. I understand that Shoeless Joe Jackson is a player that comes out of the cornfield, but I don't really have any context for what this means."
Right.
Right.
Field of Dreams, that I automatically know what that is.
Right.
I see the trailer, I see the commercial, it's Field of Dreams, right?
Sure.
So that's stuff that focus groups do. Focus groups can be like, hey, the ending of this movie, you're punishing, it makes it feel like you're punishing the wrong person.
Right.
We don't like that. Oh, then we go back to the drawing board and we change it. So that stuff works, but for super fans to be talking about whether it's the movie or the products that are going to be made from the movie or how you're advertising it, it's dumb. It's dumb. They just don't know enough. Professionals are professionals for a reason. I'm not saying they always get it right, but I'd rather have a bad movie be bad on its own
Right.
than to be helped along by people who don't understand it. Because again, going back to The Last Jedi, to go right back to where we started,
100%.
you know what The Last Jedi has that Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker doesn't? People will be talking about that movie for years
1000%.
in a way that they will not talk about the other movies. Whether you liked it or not, that was an artist who made a choice.
Yes.
That choice was controversial, but guess what? It made money and people are going to be talking about it forever. They'll be having this debate forever. Let the art live and die on its own. Let people have an opinion about it instead of trying to make it this perfect thing that it's never going to be. That's kind of why we love the anticipation of going to the movies. It's kind of why we're watching these trailers, right? I don't know if they're going to be good movies. I have no idea. But that's part of the fun. And I'm happy to not have like had Ryan Coogler be like, "What do you think about Sinners, Jermaine? You're a super fan of mine. You've seen my movies. You really like it. What do you think about?" No, like, no.
Right. Right. Yeah, I
I'm gonna
don't ever
email-
want somebody to ask me what I think. Don't put me on one of those fucking committees. I'd be like, "No. Let me make my own shit. I don't give a fuck about your shit. Just put it out. I'll watch it." Tell you after.
Yeah.
I'm gonna email Ryan Coogler, be like, "Hey Ryan, I know this genius of a man
Do it.
named JV. Ask him his thoughts on."
Yeah. Before you guys get that final cut of Sinners in,
Yeah.
let me
Right.
crack
Let
at
us watch it.
me-
Tell you.
me
Tell
and,
you
15,
how good it
yeah.
was. Let me
and
tell
15
you,
people
Ryan.
that really love your movies,
Let me in.
and we'll tell you like if this
I'll
final
tell
cut is
you.
appropriate
I'll
or
tell
not.
you
Get
if
the
it's good.
fuck out of here.
Babe, you've been super quiet. Do you have any last thoughts on super focus groups, Hollywood making wrong choices before we watch this fucking trailer? That's all you needed, her just laughing into the microphone like that. I feel
Like
like
that,
that's
she's
just that's
giggling.
it. Like she's just like, bruh. It's like, I'm a fucking Star Trek super
My-
fan. I don't, bruh.
Right, I'm literally sitting here thinking, what am I super fanned in? And it's like a very few things, but I'm also like, your focus group can be like telling these incels to fuck off. That can be your focus group. Have like a designated group that's just blocking all these motherfuckers. That's your focus group. Just do
Right.
that. That's all I got.
Yeah, certainly better than inviting them to the party.
Right, which is what we know they're gonna do. So we'll see how that works. Okay. Anyway, now when their movies flops, they'll be like, "Well, these super fans told us that if we did
Instead of
this,
anything else."
it was the super fans." All right, let's watch some fucking trailers. Shout out to Leaf and Aggro in the chat, by the way. Appreciate y'all hanging out. I know the connection's a little spotty tonight, but Spectrum, what do you want me to do? I got nothing. I got nothing. All right.
Also, when we just for people, in case you forget about it, when you look at the share screen, just make sure it's not muted. Because I do that sometimes.
Got you. There's sound that will come out of this. All right. So the first trailer we're gonna watch is The Ballerina from the universe of John Wick. I have very many thoughts, and I'm very excited about this trailer. But real quick before we watch it, we're gonna go around. Favorite John Wick movie? Tara, go.
Oh, skip the JV.
JV, favorite John Wick movie? Do you have a favorite one?
4. I thought 4 was a masterpiece actually.
Okay. The
Like
last one.
It was 3 hours. It was 3 hours. It could have been 4. I think it just put it in my fucking veins.
Let's go, Hannah. What do you got? Favorite John Wick movie?
No, I agree with that. I'd say probably 4 in the first one because I like the opening of "I'm sorry, you did what to who? Get out of my house! You're gonna die, and you're gonna do it somewhere else. That's not in my house."
Right. The first one is still my favorite because I usually like endings too, but the first one is still, it's just a fucking masterpiece of just, that's also the reason I love it. Like, you fucking kill who? Hey, John, could you maybe, fuck.
It's such a simple story.
Oh,
it's
so
just
good.
a man that wants
a man and his dog
somebody killing his dog.
And you know what? That puppy was cute as shit, and that man was out of pocket for killing that fucking dog. So, legit, like, I roll like John Wick. I'm fucking people up too. Tara, do you have a favorite John Wick movie?
I had to think of which one. I think I'm with JV. I enjoyed the fourth one.
Okay.
Because I didn't know anything about John Wick before it came out, and I actually saw it a lot later than, like, I think the first time I actually saw John Wick was a couple of years after it first came out. So I wasn't really like on it with everybody else. But the fourth one, they upped the stakes in a way that was pleasant because I'm like, how much of this man killing people can we watch? Like, how much?
Right.
How much?
A lot. It turns out that we never stopped.
Oh my gosh! But I feel like the fourth one, I haven't seen it in a while, but they made the story more intriguing in a different way. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, like I can sit here for this. If it was more of the same, I'm like, okay, I'm turning it off. Like, I'm done. Right. I'm done. But it did keep my interest.
100%. All right, y'all. So we get from the John Wick universe, which I fucking love. Let us watch the trailer for The Ballerina. Make sure that your watch screen is live. Everybody watching my screen, and you've got your volume turned up. Let's fucking go.
Become the assassin. You will always be weaker. You will always be small. You want to break evil minds. Adapt. Cheat. Welcome to the continent. It will come.
Let's fucking go. Y'all couldn't hear it? That's unfortunate. That was really good.
God damn.
I was like, that's unfortunate. Why couldn't you hear
Bro.
it? I can fix that for the second. I can fix that because we're going to watch it again in a second, so I can fix that for you guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. Hang on. Nobody talk for a second. Hold your thoughts. Don't lose them. Okay, I think I fixed that problem. Okay, everybody talk now.
What's that?
Fantastic. Okay.
Where-
Okay, great. All right. Do we want to watch it again before you have thoughts? Or do you have thoughts now and then you want to watch it again? How you want to do it?
I mean, I have thoughts now, but to be fair to the people listening that couldn't hear it, I think maybe we should watch again
Mm-hmm.
for them, unless anybody else has
Mm-hmm.
something different
Mm-hmm.
they recommend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've already seen the trailer like multiple times.
How many times have you watched this trailer
again
so far, JV?
Oh,
Love it. Let's go.
probably 3 or 4.
Nice. All right. We're gonna
Usually have to watch things multiple times to retain it. So
That's fair. All right, we're gonna encore this motherfucker for everybody watching. Hopefully you'll be able to
Now
hear
that
it
you
this
can
time.
hear.
Yeah, right. So maybe you can hear it too. We're gonna do it again. Take notes. Take notes, aggro. Take notes, Leaf. Not puns, Leaf. Notes. Let's go.
Do you like to dance? I know a school where they teach dances. I could take you there if you'd like.
To stop the assassin, you must become the assassin. You will always be weaker. You will always be smaller. You want to win? Improvise. Adapt. Cheat.
Welcome to the Continental.
Eve Macaro of the Roscaroma. What a pleasure to see you again. You have no idea what you just walked into.
They killed my father. This isn't done until they're dead.
Fate is a very humbling thing.
You're him. The one they call the Baba Yaga. How do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have.
I want this fucking soundtrack. I want this soundtrack ejected into my fucking veins. Let's fucking go. All right. Thoughts. Babe, you go first. You've been very quiet tonight. Thoughts
Yeah,
on this trailer.
well-
Let's go.
Well, first, like real quick, can we just like take a moment to honor the aesthetic?
Oh my God. Bro. Miss him, love him.
Mm-hmm.
So many things that he was in that we all like. That's the
Broils.
homie. Broil. Mm. That one hurt. that one hurt when he was just
Yeah.
gone. Like, that one hurt. But yeah, it's awesome that we get to see
But
him
yeah.
again, back as his fucking badass self. He's such a great character in the John Wick universe, right? He's just, I don't even know how to describe him.
Constantly so endearing.
Yeah, like just that polite dude.
Like, forever my favorite scenes is when they're fighting on hollowed ground and he's all up in the armory and he's just giving out weapons all proper, like just ready to go, like
let's fucking go.
Just handing out guns with class, like let's go.
Yes. But what are your thoughts on this trailer? What do you like? What do you don't like? Tell me.
I feel like I'm just a very simple person and just a very gay person because I love watching hot people fight and breaking arms because like I'm just going to be so real. There is such a not to be crude, but there's such a turn on about watching her break his arm.
So hot. It is. It's so fucking good.
It looks like it has everything that like John Wick is, just in like a different flavor, and I'm just like, yes.
Right. Just yes. Right. Just
yes.
Just yes. Yeah. Just yes. Just yes. Let's go. JV, what do you think? What do you got for this one?
Man, I don't really have a whole bunch to say for this one. Been looking forward to it since it was announced a couple of years ago. Ana de Armas is I think she's like prime to be one of the next big action stars.
Yes.
This is probably like the third movie she's done, fourth movie that she's done that was very action oriented, or her part was action oriented in it. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what she does. I'll be a dog. She's smoking hot.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
she is though. Let's just be real. She's hot. Yeah, watching her beat the shit out of people.
Yeah, I'm just gonna revert to my base manliness. Like, she's a smoke show and she's fighting and shooting, and me and Pixel are on the same page with that. Like, it's just, yeah, it's fucking hot to see hot people kick ass. So yeah, like, let's go. I'm ready for it.
And I'm also gonna get very deeply nerdy because, like, well, this is kind of twofold. Because one, I really like the vibes it has because one of my favorite like Marvel movies is Black Widow,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives me sort of those vibes too. And I also love like the separate art form that is fighting as a woman with a smaller frame, smaller everything. It's just very nerdy to see, like, yes, give me this art form. Show me her adaptation. Give it to me.
Yeah, that is super fun to see. And the team that's behind it. Have you guys seen Atomic Blonde?
I was just about to talk about Atomic Blonde, but go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, it's the same team.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's the same stunt team that's behind Atomic Blonde, John Wick. That's why the fights look so cool. And yeah, Pixel's right. I think the emphasis on like what she say in the trailer, you're never gonna be bigger.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So using that and kind of seeing this in a different way than John Wick, that'll be fun.
Oh, I have so many thoughts, but Tara, go. Come on, what do you got for this?
I think that we should all celebrate the stunt teams.
Mm-hmm. And she's doing her own stunts along with Keanu. She talked about that, so she's gonna do a lot of her own shit too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think anyone doing any kind of fighting in film, any kind of action stuff, whatever it is, I think, you definitely, people need to give you your praises more. So that's number one. Also, I like the overall feel of the trailer from this. I mean, there's stuff about the actual film that I really enjoy, but just how the trailer is set up, it reminds me of some older trailers in that it feels like an action thriller type of film. And I was just telling Hannah that, or Pixel. I was just like, yeah, I was like, I miss the action thrillers that I would go see in the movies, a long time ago. So this it has that nice feel. Like I don't see John Wick as just an action film. I might be alone in that, but to me, it's more like action thriller type that I really enjoy. It has a nice little sweet spot. Also, shout out to the composers and the editors that put together the trailer because it has a nice. There are a lot of nice little beats in there. Like in the very beginning, there's a little music box note when she blinks. There's a note that syncs up right with her blinking, and I'm like, that's perfection. This is perfection right there. So as far as the actual scenes from the film, yeah, it's really interesting, and I like how you're you're hearing the coach or whoever, whatever their title is going to be, you hear them telling her how to fight, and then you get to see that she's taken
Right.
that information and utilizes it when she picks up the ice skating shoes. It's like, oh shit, like what's that's dangerous.
Right.
Or when she uses that big door to shield herself from the explosion. So it's just it seems like it's going to be action packed and it's exciting. Also, I like how the trailer tone shifted slightly in the third part of the trailer where they start to introduce John Wick. They didn't say his name right up front, but there's a specific point where you get like you get a little bit of a riser kind of thing in the music, and then the music the music cuts out quite a bit to where you're back to what you were getting in the beginning with just like the music box. And I like how that sets up like, oh shit, like it's not just from the world of John Wick. You're actually going to get John Wick in this story as well. So I like how they set all that up. So yeah, yep, pretty cool.
1000%. When I have where I was asking JV where he went because he just fucked up the whole overlay on YouTube. It's just completely fucked now. He said my butt hurt. I just called JV out because he just fucked up. He can't move. You can't move.
My butt hurt. I didn't want to like be stretching my glutes on camera. It's not that type of podcast. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
fantastic. We got one more trailer to talk about, so I'm gonna be trying to be real, but I'm like, I got like real, like be geeking out probably like too hard on this shit. I love hearing that the team behind Atomic Blonde did this because I think John Wick, Atomic Blonde, the old guard spoiled me a lot with fight scenes. Daredevil did it too.
Lord.
I'm just the nerd is coming out because these long cuts with fight scenes, these, I like Pixel and I watched an action movie like a couple nights ago. I don't remember when, and it was like every 3 seconds the camera is shifting, and now I hate that shit because John Wick has just spoiled, and Atomic Blonde has just, and the old guard has just spoiled me. I think now for fight scenes and how I want to see them done. My toxic trait is I watch a lot of fight videos on YouTube and then think I can do it. So me watching movies where women are in realistic ways fighting bigger men, I find very empowering. Because as a woman who's 4'11", I want to know if me and JV have got into a fight, how I'm going to beat him up where he is just larger. So I can put him in that jiu-jitsu move all day, but JV can just pick me the fuck up and just use, like we saw, and she still made it. So, I just find that, very empowering to see, women figure out how they're going to beat.
We literally saw that, and she broke his arm.
And then she broke his fucking arm, right? Because he fucked up, right? She
also punched the guy in the balls, which is
right.
just
It's just and I saw that too, in Atomic Blonde. What I loved about those fight scenes as well was it was quote unquote realistic in that, just because she stabbed somebody didn't mean he immediately fell over and died, right? He still got that adrenaline. He's still fighting her. She's still got to keep going. So there was this nice realism in those fight scenes where you seen her get fuck up. I mean, listen, if we could all just take a punch the way fucking Charlize Theron did in Atomic Blonde, like fuck, you can't tell me shit about fuck.
One of the great action actors of this generation.
My God,
So, I mean, she's a great
incredible.
actress.
Yes,
She's a great actor. Period. But
yes.
I love the kind of action star.
Yes.
Like I miss that from the 80s where it's just like, if you were watching a Sly Stallone or Arnold movie, like it may not be the deepest thing, but you're probably gonna have fun with the action. And that's sort of what Charlize reminds me of. It's just like if I see that Charlize has a gun in a movie, I'm in for a good time. I don't really care what happens. Like I'm just here for a good time, and I feel like it was her. Previous to that, it was Angelina Jolie.
Sure.
And
Shout
so
out to
I
Jennifer
love
Gardner
the
in
fact,
Alias.
Jennifer Garner, like I love the fact that it's Anna now, and that they put her in this specific world. Like, let's go.
I'm ready for it. I think literally my only critique is I wanted her to say like they killed my cat instead of they killed my father. Like I'm not even fucking like I just kind of follow. I know that would have made it like ridiculous, and there's like a nicely serious tone that I hope isn't too overdone. I think that the John Wick movies, like we said, they started out very silly, right? It's literally like they killed his dog. But we were all like, no, fuck that. That's our dog. Like, you can't just kill our fucking dog, bro. But it, like literally when you're pitching it, you're like, so this guy loses his dog and then he kills people. Like, what's the log line? Like, it's
right.
But
we take it seriously.
Right. We take it like
that's the thing that makes it work.
Right.
It's like, it's never done as a joke. It's like you believe it because you believe John Wick is like super upset over this and what that dog meant to him. And even though that sounds so dumb, like on paper, if you just say it to someone, this movie is about a hitman who's retired, whose wife gave him a dog. Some guys killed the dog and now he's on revenge. He's on revenge for his dog. That sounds so dumb, but they take it so seriously that it forces us as an audience to take it seriously. And so it might be a silly concept, but it's just done so well.
Correct. That's absolutely it. So I hope they do it the same way here with her origin story and why she's going to fight the guy with the flamethrower, because we know she is. And I just want to see her just do more of what she did in the trailer for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I don't care. Like you ever said, she's hot. I'll watch her beat the shit out of people all day. Come on. She stuck a bomb in his mouth. Then she closed the door. He just fucking exploded. That's fucking wonderful. She shanked the shit out of that. Come on. Let's go. And that soundtrack was so good. I'm so... I have this thing with like, when we talk about like movies and cinema, that I love, like when you drop a dope ass soundtrack to something. And also we're going to see in Sinners like really good shots. Like Stranger Things did it with their fucking trailer and the remix of that fucking song that come on. It's so like, I if I'm in the editing booth, I've said this a lot of times, they would have kicked me out because I'm just screaming, shaking somebody because I'm so excited about how well it turned out. And like you said, Tara, that little where, just a ding and she went, like all that shit. That attention to detail is just so fucking good. Let's go. So I'm butt in seat. I'm day one for the ballerina. I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
3 hours, beat ass. Let's go. I want her and Keanu and like Charlize Theron and then like maybe like an older Michelle Yeoh to just fight in a movie for like 4 hours. Make it as long as Titanic. We'll watch it. Just do it.
There.
We're there. All right. So that's one very interesting style of trailer. And so now we got our boy about to do some Ryan and Michael B. Jordan. We think it's vampires. Pretty sure it's gonna be a vampire movie, y'all. So,
Demons.
I know. And we have some thoughts about this. I know we've all watched it before. Tara, have you watched this trailer yet, or is it gonna be your first time?
I think I saw part of it.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
But let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it, y'all. Let's do it. Next trailer of the night. Here we go.
I've been all over this world. I seen men die in ways I ain't even know was possible. Love you, brother. Be careful. I will. With all the things that I've seen, I ain't ever seen no demons, no ghosts, no magic. Till now. Now get back inside.
Let me in, man. Some weird shit going on out here.
You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home.
Y'all want to encore that motherfucker? Y'all want to watch that shit again? What you got? What we thinking?
Been waiting for this one for a minute.
Yeah, have you?
So,
Let's go. Start it off, JV. Because I
yeah.
know you got to go soon, and now we told to talk. So let's go. What you got?
Yeah. All right. I'll try to be quick. It's Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. They really haven't missed. Michael B. Jordan has been in every Ryan Coogler project since the start. So they are a connected pair. This is Scorsese, De Niro type stuff.
Sure.
Right here. Spike Lee. Samuel L. Jackson. Just a pair that is going to be tied together. It looks great. It looks scary. That's one of the main things is sometimes, because it's going to have some action in it, but sometimes action horror can lean too much to the action. It actually gives me a very 30 Days of Night feel.
Yes. Yes.
So, which I think is just like a killer vampire movie done really differently. Yeah, I mean, and again, just gonna go to my base heterosexual male. I saw Haley Steinfeld in there.
My God.
Yeah, I saw Haley Steinfeld. She's elite. She's elite. So yeah, I'm ready for it.
Let's
Haley
go.
Steinfeld, vampires,
Let's go.
Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan. Fucking sign me up.
That's it. That's all we got. That's.
I literally can't even say anything. I see you, Hawkeye.
This is amazing. Tara, what do you think? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm actually really interested in this. As far as the trailer goes, I really enjoyed the very beginning because it starts out with this wide angle shot of Michael B. Jordan's character just sitting there.
Right.
And you would think, like, you go into this, the title of the film's called Sinners, so something's going to happen. But just from this shot alone, if you just saw this, you would just think, oh, this is just somebody taking a break. Like somebody just, going about their day. And I like how this image is juxtaposed with those really quick, dark scenes where all you see is a figure flashing across the screen.
Right.
And then with each scene of that, then it goes back to Michael B. Jordan's character, And you're getting a little bit closer to him, and you are starting to see the internal workings of his character, because then you actually see his hands are shaking. He's trying to roll up a J, but he can't do it because he's nervous.
Right. Something has occurred.
Something is happening. So, and then also like those quick flashes, it's like, Crystal, you and I talk about hearing noises and stuff. Like, you might I just get the sense of when that flash goes across the screen, like, I feel like it's somebody looking over their shoulder, like, hold on. Like, did I just hear something? Did I just see something? So it creates that anticipation. So I think that's really well done. And then I like the color grading. I like the costume design, and it's a supernatural story. So I'm typically excited to see those, usually. But this one has me excited in a way that others haven't had me excited in a long time. So yeah, so we'll see what happens in the film when it comes out.
Right. These are two very different trailers that we watched, and I feel like this one has a lot of subtlety in it. It's holding its deck very, very close. And I hope we don't get another trailer. To be completely honest, I don't want to see another trailer. I want this one to be the only one, because this is like, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah, babe, talk about it. Let's go.
I want to say my favorite frame of this trailer, because I love the entire frame is awesome, but like, I love facial acting so much. So the shot of Michael B and whoever is with him, and they're holding on to each other, and they both look horrified, staring into what you can guess maybe by like reflecting off of them is fire, but they keep raising their gaze up and up and up and up. And I'm like, the fuck are y'all staring at?
Right.
That's such a great shot.
Yes.
It's a great shot in general, and their acting is fantastic in just that shot. I'm just like, oh. But my only real like gripe is more my impatience, because it comes out in March. It's not the end of the month where it'd be perfect, and I'm just like, why do we have to wait until March? This looks great.
It's some bullshit. It's some bullshit. We have to wait so long. It does. I think this trailer does a lot of things really, really well. This trailer gives me Michael B. Flanagan Hill House vibes, where I feel like every time you watch it, you're catching something new. This is one of those trailers that makes me want to slow it down frame by frame so I can see what those little shots are, because they're unnerving. They set the tone of it, right? You're just like it's almost like he's having flashbacks of the trauma that's got him shaken so much that he can't fucking roll his joint up and smoke it to calm the fuck down, right? I love clever shots where our focus is on that poor man banging on the door in his panic, and then you see that motherfucker coming from the side. There's another shot like that where somebody's running out the barn and there's somebody standing above them. You're right, like right, that level of like just that very simple wide shot of all those people standing around is so fucking unnerving that I'm like, man, I don't know what y'all did. I don't know what y'all in, but y'all in trouble.
Good luck.
All right, good luck. Good luck. So, the only thing I don't buy is his Southern accent. I don't know how much that's going to drive me crazy or not. And that's really because I genuinely thought that Southern accents would be the easiest for actors to do, because it's almost like making fun of them. Somebody sounds like that. Like there's this woman on TikTok that I watch all the time because she gives great car buying advice. I'm not in the market to buy a car. I just like listening to her talk. And her Southern accent is so fucking thick that you would think when you first listen to her that she was just somebody making fun of somebody with a Southern accent, right? So they're all like, Southern accents are so fucking varied that I don't know why I don't believe his. Like, he's the only actor I have ever heard.
Because he's from New Jersey.
I lived there for 12 fucking years, bro.
It's hard to pull off. Like I think like as far as the American accents go,
right?
Like that's maybe the hardest one to pull off because they're so regional. Like they're so regional that if you're playing someone from New Orleans, it is not going to sound like somebody from Dallas, and that's not going to sound like somebody from Alabama, right?
True.
So to me, it's almost kind of like the British accent,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense since the Southern accent kind of comes from the British accent. Um, yeah, I just like what he's doing is he's going for like a very just that I'm from the South. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know necessarily where I'm from. Maybe I'm from Texas. Maybe I'm from East Texas. Maybe I don't know. Um, so yeah, I mean it's not the
And like,
greatest accent, but
Mm.
people have a hard time doing Southern accents.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, babe.
Oh,
it, uh, you go ahead, Tara. You go ahead.
no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was just saying that. Well, I was just saying that, like, sometimes with accents, they're like both hard to pick up and hard to lose is the saying that I've
Mm.
heard before. So
Hmm.
if Michael B came from Jersey, right, he is in because a lot of accents have like a mental attunement.
Mm-hmm.
So he's tuned in one way. So it's similarly to languages where some things are just harder to pick up than most. So he might actually be better picking up a different accent versus a southern one because it has to, I don't know if I'm explaining well right, but some people are just attuned to a certain mannerism or cadence, that type of thing. So like
Hmm.
sometimes you do have to take a southern accent and maybe not make it as southern, so make it your own spin on a southern accent so you can work with it and make it quote unquote believable, so
Mm.
you're not botching the whole thing.
True. True. It's a good point. It's a good point. I'm going to be seated for the movie, but I just thought it was interesting to me. I was just like, wow, I don't believe that at all. But I'm going to still watch it. I'm
Yeah, it's
still.
crazy. My grandpa still has his accent
Hmm.
from Alabama. And he's been in California since the '60s. And Michael B. Jordan did actually do, I think, a pretty decent um like California type Oakland accent in Fruitvale Station. But it is crazy because like it's just a really it's so dependent. Like I always say, like I love the way from that women from New Orleans sound
Hmm.
because it's something about the way they say baby. Something it's almost lyrical.
Yeah.
Like it just feels, and so I think he's just using like the traditional like I am a northerner and this is what I think the accent is.
Hmm.
It's like, "Hey brother, I'll see you soon, brother." You know that. So it's just like this really like okay, this is very general.
Hmm.
Um, and this was all just a ploy to do my papa just yelling at my granny Betty, which is just hey Bet, where the at? I'm trying to watch my western. Hey, it's Jermaine, that's my number one man. It's just amazing.
So good.
One time, you could do a gobble and an accent, and I didn't know that. My papa was telling me a story about a turkey and how turkeys fly. He's like, yeah, a lot of people don't know turkeys fly. And then they make a lot of noise. Go, 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 go. Great moment in my life.
We all need this in our life. We all need this in our life. Love that. Love that. Love that. All right. We're going to wrap this up here. To recap, listen up, nerds. We think focus groups. We think superfan focus groups are a terrible idea. Hollywood is still fucking up. Stop doing that. Yeah, we discussed that for a whole hour and 30 minutes of geeking out about that. So definitely check that out and listen to our very deep and wonderful and completely correct thoughts on that. We are right about all things. And we're really looking forward to watching The Ballerina and Sinners. So, yeah. If you have thoughts about that, you can hit us up over on the internets. There will be links to all of us and how we do things down in the show notes and descriptions. But at this point, you should know where to find all of us. And people usually churn out during the credits, so I'm not going to do that again. But you should know where to find JV, Crystal, Tara, and Pixel, a.k.a. Hannah, across the internets. And if you don't, sucks to be you, bro. That's rough. That's because we're very easy to find. Anyway. Anyway, Listen Up Nerds will return. I know Matt wants to do a scary movie kind of round off. We're going to do some intro shows where we just kind of put each other in the hot seat and ask questions. We've got a lot of great ideas for shows, so we're going to be around. So make sure you hit that follow button wherever you're watching us or listening to us. And that's it, y'all. We out.
Hey, Crystal.
Yeah.
Hey, Crystal.
Yeah.
Real quick, shouts out to my baby Haley Steinfeld and my other baby Michael B. Jordan's arms. Let's go.
Oh my God.
His arms.